Here's more of the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Welcome back to the show. 7:35. Big budget talks in Washington. We saw the plan handed down last week by Patty Murray and Paul Ryan dealing with the budget matters, and went through the House quickly, overwhelmingly went through the House, and now it's on its way to the Senate floor, and it's being met with a little resistance there in the Senate. Here to talk about that, I'm joined with our Senator, John Boozman. Senator, great to have you here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, as always.
Well, this is a big budget vote here, and there are some concerns in it. Namely, being that one of the biggest concerns is here's the main factor is it doesn't address enough spending cuts that Republicans would like, and those are a little bit more down the road. But under this deal, spending on defense and non-defense programs would rise $967 billion in the next fiscal year. Also, some spending in other areas would also rise, and the cuts that Republicans want don't seem to be there. Where do you stand on this budget deal? How do you plan to vote?
Well, I'm going to vote against it, and the reason is that we simply have to get serious about the debt and the deficit. You can't run trillion-dollar deficits. In fact, we're actually going to reduce that a little bit. Probably it'll be $600 or $700 billion this year, which is still an astronomical amount of money. But for the last 2 years, for the first time since World War II, because of sequestration, because of the Budget Control Act, we've actually cut discretionary spending 2 years in a row. And so that was good. The problem is that this bill undoes that. And, it puts us in a situation where we're spending significantly more money. And, we just simply have to get serious about admitting and doing the hard things that it's going to take to get us back on the fiscal responsible path.
And one of the key aspects of this, as it passed so well through the House, it does not include extending the unemployment benefits. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's good that wasn't included in this. One of the real concerns that we've had is cutting the defense to the point that you cut so much. That's the one thing that the Constitution specifically says, that we need to take care of. And so there's been a lot of concern about that. I've been very much in favor of shifting things around, giving them a little bit more money. And then also in regard to the sequestration, what it does is just cut across the board, giving the ability of the agencies, whether it's defense or whether it's education or whatever the program is, to allow them to cut the programs that need to be cut rather than just, again, forcing the cut across the board.
And your concern for the military, you're not alone. There's a lot of senators there that share your view. Senator Kelly Ayotte from New Hampshire and are certainly speaking out. The veterans and military retirees are really at the center of the budget debate now, saying that they have concerns with many aspects of the budget bill, specifically one that would cut retirement benefits for military retirees by $6 billion over 10 years. And many are saying it's just unacceptable to single out our men and women in the uniform this way in this budget plan.
Well, we talk about the fact that, that we shouldn't vote for this based on the fact that it increased spending, but if there was no other reason, cutting the deficit by reducing those that have served 20 years, people that retire from the military, what it does is cut them 1% from their cost of living adjustment. And I think the average cut over a lifetime would be about $125,000, which is significant money. My dad did 20 years in the Air Force. I understand that this is an earned benefit. This is essentially a contract that we've made with these men and women. You don't just arbitrarily go in and cut. Now, a promise that you've made, if you were going to say, like they did with the federal government employees, that in the future, people that enlisted would get 1% less. That's a different thing. You could discuss that. But cutting those that have already served, that are depending on this income, that's simply not fair. It's unacceptable.
And that is a concern that many there in the Senate share. This bill, as we know, passed last week in the House, strong bipartisan showing, 332 to 94. And it's surprising to me that it passed by such a overwhelming majority in the House. And it's expected, the plan is expected to pass there in the Senate by a narrow majority. One of the biggest concerns I'm hearing, in my view, is that the part of the plan, so much of the plan includes, as we have said, spending now in return for promises for cuts down the road, cuts that wouldn't kick in until after the president is gone, further down the road. And with all that's gone on in the past few weeks and months of broken promises, and if you like your doctor, you can keep it, and all of these promises that haven't been true, how can you trust that these cuts that they promise will actually be implemented and executed down the road?
Well, that's one of the reasons. In fact, that's a major reason that we're in the situation that we're in now. It's easy to, go ahead and increase spending now with the promise that you're going to cut later. The trouble is that the later never comes. The cuts don't occur. In this particular bill, you have a situation where one of the gimmicks is that the sequester is dealt with for the next 2 years, and then in some cases the sequester is increased for 2 years, 10 years from now. So these are budget gimmicks, and again, this is why we're in the situation that we're in now. We have to recognize that we can't keep going down that path, or we'll get in a situation that we've seen in some of the European countries. We're the greatest, freest country the world's ever known, but we're still subject to the basic economic laws as everybody else. And this is like gravity, just a basic truth. You can't spend a whole lot more money than you have.
That's a novel concept. What a novel concept. You need to tell that to all of your colleagues there.
The people of America understand that, and that's their frustration. They understand as they budget on a household basis or a business basis or whatever, that you have to adhere to these things. Government just has not gotten that message.
I agree with that. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Senator John Boozman and weigh in on the latest with some of the concerns with Obamacare and also the NSA. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with Senator John Boozman after this.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.